Elon Musk pretens debe un millonario cliente encuentra a Donald Trump sold a un mendigo. El momento de Elon Musk saltó en el puerto artístico de Washington Avenue. Todo se sintiera extraño. No era así en esta noche. No tech mogul, ni billonario, solo un parsa periada, trajete y glasses oscuros, tratando vivir un día en sus zapatos. Pero lo que no se esperaba fue una escena que le pega un truenazo. Across the room. Que el maltrato, el gana al pelo del béisbol, sentía compastante, el mendigo de barriles en veleno té, revestido en traje. Se da cuenta, sonríe que mucha bota de gente. Sí, y este Trump se sienta incómodo temoso. Elon Musk vi pretendiendo. ¿Pero qué? Señor el expresidente se acerque con este cara. El ojo de la manzana estaba largo, después del cuerpo, y mentía. Para ir rápido con Trump, decía lentamente quitaciones. ¡Ojo del dólar! El miedo que acabamos. En era y quede una galería de arte llena de la ciudad. ¿Qué juego entonces Trump estaba jugando? Elon H. Closer, careful para seguir sacerdiento en su descasco. Y lo escuchó. El hombre hablaba de los sueños, el arte robado. Elon pecho se apretó. The man wasn't just any beggar. He was an artist, a gifted one. But his life had been crushed, shredded by a con, by Trump himself. Elon's mind raced. The cold glimmer of competition sparked inside him, then twisted with unease. Here was a man whose talent was drowned by lies and wealth. Elon's own fortune, his privilege, suddenly felt like a chain tightening around his throat. The gallery buzzed with murmurs as the whispers grew louder. Someone mentioned scandal, corruption, a secret no one wanted uncovered. And now Elon was tangled in the middle. Who was this artist? How far did Trump's deception go? Was this just a one-time show of false generosity, or something darker? As the crowd leaned in, watching every move, Elon's fingers trembled inside his pockets. The weight of the truth clawed at him. Should he expose this? Should he protect the artist and risk everything? Or should the hunger for power swallow his conscience forever? Trump's smile stayed, thin, calculated. The homeless artist's glare held fire, but pain too. And in the silence between them, something darker whispered beneath the gallery's chandeliers. A secret that could shatter lives. Elon took a deep breath, and in his heart a question burned louder than ever. What does it really mean to hold power, wealth, and influence in a world starving for truth and justice? Suddenly, a sharp voice shattered the moment. A gallery guard rushing over, eyes wide, murmuring about a scandal leaking to the press. Elon felt the room tilt beneath him. This was just the beginning. Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important warning. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube removed their subscriptions without notice. Take a quick look at the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I don't want you to miss any exclusive content that's coming. And since you're here, drop a powerful like. That really helps me with the algorithm. Oh, and let me know in the comments, what city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's interact. The sudden rush of voices sent a chill down Elon's spine. The guard shouted, panic etched across his face. "We need to clear the area. Now!" Elon's heart raced as he feeling the weight of the room shift around him. The crowd trembled in disbelief, a wave of chaos rolling through the polished gallery. Eyes darted between Trump and the homeless artist, whose defiant glare sharpened like a knife. "Wait!" Elon shouted, his voice lost in the frenzy. He felt the heat of the moment wrapping around him, pulling him deeper into a whirlpool of uncertainty. What was happening? Suddenly, there was a loud bang. The sound cut through the air, sharp and jarring. A crash echoed off the marble walls, followed by an anguished scream. Everyone froze. The murmurs died, replaced by heavy silence, thick enough to touch. Elon glanced over, and in the chaos, he saw it. The artist, face pale, clutching a crumpled paper. The envelope, once in Trump's hands, now lay shattered on the floor, spilling a cascade of photographs. Elon's breath caught in his throat. Photographs of stolen artwork, famous pieces everyone thought were long gone. But there was more. Tucked within were images of real estate deals, shady transactions, and a name at the bottom of each page. A name that sent shockwaves through the gallery. Vanessa? The words slipped from Elon's lips, barely audible. Vanessa, the artist's daughter, missing for years. Rumors swirled in hushed corners. Had Trump been involved? Gasps filled the room, eyes wide, mouths agape. The gallery, once a place of elegance, turned into a den of gasping spectators. Elon's stomach twisted. Was this all part of Trump's twisted game? What secret had tangled them together? The artist dropped to his knees, shaking. He cradled the papers like they were his last connection to a lost world. The crowd stepped back, whispering fevered questions. Is he connected? Did he sell her? Uncertainty hung like smoke, thick and suffocating. Elon edged closer, heart pounding in his ears. He wanted answers. He needed to know. There was a deeper story buried here. Layers upon layers of betrayal and pain. The once hollow eyes of the artist were now burning with fury. You think you can back away now, Trump? A voice cut through the confusion. A woman stepped forward, voice steady, fierce. She held a phone aloft, live streaming the chaos. People need to hear this. They need to see who you really are. Elon's breath hitched. The tide had shifted. This was no longer about him or his power. It was about truth, long hidden beneath the chaos of wealth and deception. The crowd leaned in, hungry for justice, the air electric with anticipation. Trump's facade cracked just for a moment. He looked between the artist and the camera, a flicker of not just fear, but desperation. It was all unraveling, threads of a dark tapestry coming undone. In an instant, the gallery shifted from an art showcase to a courtroom. The moment felt heavy, teetering on a knife edge. Elon stood frozen, wondering if he should step forward or retreat. In that breath of silence, his mind screamed, was the truth really worth the risk? Then chaos resumed, a rush of whispers, fear, and condemnation crashing like waves against Trump's gilded image. But amidst the chaos, Elon's gaze locked with the artist's. A fierce understanding passed between them. The moment loomed heavy, and Elon could feel it. The undeniable pull to choose a side. ... And in the din of confusion, the shadows sharpened. A truth hung palpably in the room. Something that could change everything. "Time's running out, Elon." The artist's voice rang out, fierce and unyielding. "What will you do?" Elon's heart raced, knowing that his answer could tip the scales forever. The crowd waited, breaths held, anticipation crackling through the air. And in that charged moment, everything was at stake. Elon's mind raced as the guard's voice cut through the tension. But it wasn't just panic spreading through him. The room buzzed like a live wire, energy shifting with expectation. He couldn't break away now, not with that fraught connection between Trump and the artist so close. "Sir, you need to come with me," the guard shouted again, eyes darting around the gallery like a trapped animal. Elon took a step back, his heart pounding. The shimmer of polished marble reflected faces full of shock, suspicion, and intrigue. He couldn't help but wonder if more than his disguise was at risk. What if the truth unfurled here, right now? But as he strained to catch more of the conversation, the beggar, no, the artist, leaned in closer to Trump, and suddenly the whisper of a name sliced through the air. "Bobby," said the artist, each syllable heavy with weight. "Bobby Carver. That was my name before they crushed my gallery and my dreams." A ripple of silence fell across the crowd. Elon's breath caught. "Bobby Carver?" He remembered hearing whispers of a gathering storm in the art community. A scandal involving a stolen legacy, buried under layers of deceit. But this was getting too personal. Suddenly, Bobby's voice rose, raw, full of pain. "You think you can buy me off, Trump? You think this is about cash? You stole everything I had. Everything." Elon could feel the energy crackling like electricity. The gallery was alive with murmurs, like the shuffling of cards in a high-stakes game. Trump's expression clenched tight. But a glimmer of amusement flashed in his eyes, as if this little drama was a show he enjoyed. Then, just as Elvis was about to tumble from his fragile throne, a loud crash erupted. A massive painting, hanging precariously, fell from the wall and shattered on the floor. Gasps rode the air like lightning. White, hot shards of glass scattered everywhere, and all heads whipped towards the disturbance. Elon's heart raced. Was this a calculated distraction, or an accident from the chaos? But then something even wilder happened. From the broken remnants of the painting emerged a hidden envelope. It fluttered free, revealing itself as a sealed document, the edges charred as if it had been hidden for ages. The crowd leaned in, straining for a better look. "What in the world?" Bobby's eyes widened. "That's it! That's the proof!" he shouted, his voice slicing through the air like a knife. A wave of shock rolled through the room, the murmurs turning into a crescendo of disbelief. Everyone watched as Bobby scrambled to pick it up, hands trembling, desperation etched on his face. Elon felt the weight of the moment. This wasn't just a meeting about art anymore. This was the key to something bigger, deeper, like a black hole pulling him in. Trump stepped forward, his facade cracking. "I don't know what you think you have there, but—" Bobby stopped him, his voice rising above the fray. "You think I'll let you silence me again? This isn't just cash, it's justice." With tears pooling in his eyes, Bobby ripped the envelope open, revealing not just a single piece of paper, but multiple documents spilling out. Contracts, dates, names, a timeline that could unravel everything. Elon's heart raced with a mix of fear and thrill. He was witnessing the birth of a storm, an avalanche of truth about to come crashing down. The gallery was tense, waiting for the revelation. And in that heavy silence, the pulse of betrayal danced in the air. What did those documents contain? Would they drag the powerhouse of the art world into the murky depths of reality? Elon could feel everything shifting beneath him. His role, his power, his choices. This was no longer about disguises. It was about survival, revelation, and the terrible weight of truth catching up with everyone in that room. And just as Bobby opened his mouth to speak again, a loud bang echoed from the entrance. More guards? A sudden push of fear fueled the uncertainty. Elon's heart terrestre así realizó que la verdad que creían era apenas una lámpara a la oscuridad. ¿Qué podría pasar si llega? El silencio pesado se generaba, pero ahora por pura salida, el pie con el corazón buscando la repostería. Más pronto comenzó. ¡Ya! Si ve cuenta, caja. Si cada desca. Deus popolo, lavarse el dolor de desencanto. Este señor, conmovido en genio, que va a conducir de la tensión espectacular, Kengo, que os erupció. Otra vez, un caco fue covado por la entrada, seguido por un grupo de hombres en uniformes oscuros, desbordando en la galería. Entraron fuerza, sus ojos escaneando la sala, pero pánico recausó a la multitud. Todos endecienan. Uno de los guardias, voz urgente. Gente, se espanta. Empezaron. Bobby instinctively shielded the envelope against his chest, heart pounding like a drum. What was happening? Why were there more guards? Had the thunderstorm of chaos just intensified? Elon's mind spun. He caught sight of Trump backing away, eyes narrowed. Confusion flickered over his face, and for a moment, it almost looked like fear. "Stay where you are," a voice sparked. A commanding presence surged forward, badge glimmering under the bright lights. "We're looking for someone. This is a matter of national security." Elon's gut twisted. Nacional seguridad? This wasn't just a political play. This was serious. This was bigger than the art world's secrets. Everyone held their breath, eyes darting between the guards and Bobby. And then it happened. The lead guard pointed at Bobby and shouted, "Hands where I can see them!" The crowd gasped. Bobby raised his hands, his gaze darting for answers, but none came. He looked vulnerable, lost, the fierce fire extinguished in an instant. "Wait! He pleaded, desperation lacing his voice. But before anyone could respond, the guard strode closer, and Bobby's world tilted. "You're not just an artist," the guard said, voice low and incredulous. "You're The room hung on that word like a knife poised to fall. A sudden hush cloaked the gallery. Even the chatter paused. Anticipation hung thick as syrup. What was about to be revealed? "No, this can't be!" someone in the crowd gasped, the sound cutting through the silence. Murmurs erupted like popping popcorn. Your name isn't just Bobby Carver. You're Robert Carver, son of the infamous crime lord who went missing years ago. The words struck like a lightning bolt. Elon felt his breath catch, his heart racing, as he exchanged shocked glances with the onlookers. Bobby? A crime lord's son? The pieces of the puzzle hurtled around his mind, shifting everything he thought he knew. Bobby's eyes widened, disbelief washing over his face. "That's not true! I'm just an artist!" he shouted, but his voice had lost its bite. The truth hung heavy over him, whispers of his father's past darkening the air. "No wonder you were in hiding," the guard replied. "You think you can just slip into anonymity?" "Voy a repetirlo. We've been tracking you down for years." Elon took a step back, shock coursing through him. Was it all a facade? Everything Bobby had shared felt genuine, filled with pain and longing. But now, doubt crept in like fog. Had this been a calculated act all along? The crowd's horror morphed into an adrenaline rush, moving like a tide towards Bobby, captivated yet horrified. Questions swirled in the room, people craning their necks, desperate for clarity. "Your father might still be alive," the guard continued, voice grave. "If you found him, you'd change everything." Bobby staggered, the weight of the moment crashing over him. "You can't!" But his words faltered, as shock rippled through his body. What lay ahead for him? A chance at reclaiming a lost legacy? A reunion built on a past riddled with crime? Or would it drag him deeper into a world he wanted to escape? Elon felt the air chill, and in that instant, everything strayed from its course. Choices rushed ahead, rippling like a stone tossed into a still pond. He had to decide quickly. Were they still fighting for justice, or had they stepped into a trap? And just like that, the truth morphed into something darker, more dangerous. The crowd shifted, restless, eagerly awaiting the next move. Whispers of possibilities blooming like wildfire. What would Bobby do next? Could he still seek justice? Or would the shadow of his father's legacy claim him too? Elon felt like the very air around him shifted as the guard rushed over. Suddenly, the gallery vibrated with energy, tension suffocating. Something was coming, a scandal, a revelation, a truth. The whispers morphed into an uneasy hum, hearts racing across the room. "What's happening?" someone asked. A collective breath held. The guard's gaze darted to Trump, then the artist, and finally landed on Elon. Fear danced in the guard's eyes. He was pale, shaken. "We need to clear the area," he shouted. "Now!" Elon felt his heart stump in his chest. The artist's eyes locked onto his, filled with a wild mix of desperation and fierce determination. This was more than a simple transaction. The weight of miles of buried secrets surged into the air. As the crowd began to move, pushing and shoving toward the exits, a voice rose above the chaos. It was the artist, his voice trembling but strong. "You don't know what you're doing! He's lying to all of you! This isn't just art. It's life. It's survival. Trump's smile faltered for a heartbeat, then tightened like a noose. Just keep it together, friend. No one wants to hear your sob story. The artist's face twisted in a flicker of rage. Then he did something shocking. He surged forward, shoving the thick envelope into Trump's chest. It burst open, spilling papers across the marble floor like a flurry of fallen leaves. You think I'll stay silent? The fragments of paper fluttered down, revealing photographs, stacks of canvases, unfinished projects, and a signature that sent a ripple through the crowd. Not just any signature, Elon's own, scrawled across an agreement for an art project that had never been realized. This was collaboration gone wrong, turned into something far darker. Gasps echoed through the space. Elon staggered back, the taste of betrayal bitter on his tongue. Memories flooded his mind, promises made, visions shared, but they were shrouded in shadows now. Wait! Elon breathed, his voice almost lost. He was drawn to the scattered papers, the cruel reality pinning him down. Trump's facade cracked, fury storming in his eyes. He growled, "You think you can just accuse me? You have no idea who you're messing with." Then he turned to the crowd, attempting to regain control. This man is nothing, a nobody. But the truth hung heavy, burning bright. The artist wasn't just a victim. He was a witness, an echo of the past, a painful reminder of what power could consume when unchecked. Elon's chest tightened. This wasn't just about art anymore. He felt betrayal, anger, and something deeper, a shuddering recognition of his own role in this web of lies. In the midst of the escalating chaos, a woman in the back spoke up, shaking her head. "You both need to stop. You think this is about you? There's something much bigger at play." An icy shiver ran through the crowd. The air thickened with fear. The gallery was a ticking time bomb, each heartbeat echoing louder. What did she mean? What was bigger than this scandal? Then, in a flash, the lights flickered, plunging the room into momentary darkness. A crash rang out, like glass breaking, shattering the fragile tension. "Get down!" someone screamed, followed by the sound of a gunshot that echoed like thunder. Panic erupted, bodies pressed against bodies as the crowd scattered in every direction. Elon's heart raced. He ducked, instincts kicking in. Trump's face was a mask of fury and fear, mingling with the shocked expressions around them. In that moment, everything changed. The artist, the precarious truth, Elon's own identity, all shattered in an instant. He realized, as the chaos unfurled, that he had no idea where he stood anymore. A question lingered in the air, heavy and ominous. Who could they trust when everything was laced with deceit? The evening's art gallery buzz became a trap, closing in around them. Elon felt the tension snap as the guard's voice cut through the atmosphere like a sharp blade. His gut twisted. Was it real? Did someone really discover the secret he just stumbled upon? Panic radiated through the crowd. Faces turned. Whispers grew louder. The guard rushed forward, but not toward Trump or the artist. He headed straight for Elon. "You!" he barked, eyes darting back to the strange duo. "Stay right there!" Elon's mind raced. Did he reveal himself? Did the guard recognize him? The room shifted, people closing in, curious and confused. The art gallery was becoming a theater, and they were all spectators in a play gone wrong. Trump straightened, eyes narrowing at the commotion. The artist's expression shimmered with something fierce. Was it relief? Anger? Elon couldn't tell. He sensed a change in the air, thick and palpable, a storm brewing. Is this a joke? What's going on here? Someone called out from the crowd. The guard leached Elon, eyes wild yet focused. We got a problem, sir. You have to... Suddenly, the artist broke away from Trump. No, don't! He shouted, voice raw with urgency. You're all being played. Silence descended for a heartbeat, then erupted into gasps and murmurs. Trump shot a quick glance at the artist. His smile faltered, revealing a crack beneath the bravado. Now's not the time for theatrics, he said, a thin veneer of confidence masking his discomfort. But the artist pressed on. They'll turn this on you, Elon. Your fortune won't save you from this. That sent a shockwave through him. Why was this man targeting him? He barely understood what was happening, and yet a sense of fire lit within him. He had to act. What are you talking about? He called back, voice steady, despite the storm inside. They think I'm a nobody, but I was once revered. My art sold for millions, until... He glanced sideways at Trump, eyes darkening. He destroyed me. The raw emotion in his voice pulled the crowd closer, silent now. They're all in on it. The art, the wealth, consumed by greed. And you're just the next pawn. The artist's eyes sparked with forgotten hope, rising from the ashes of despair. Everyone's a victim here. But before the confession could sink in, a loud bang echoed through the gallery. A sudden explosion shattered the glass displays, showering everyone with shards. Panic ignited. The crowd screamed, scattering in all directions like leaves in a hurricane. Elon ducked as the artist staggered, almost losing his balance. The thick air became a tempest of fear. Get down, cried someone nearby, but it felt like the world was twisting, collapsing inward. In the chaos, Trump's mask slipped further. He lunged toward the artist, reaching for something in his pocket. A hidden weapon? Elon couldn't breathe, couldn't think. Every thought was drowned in confusion. He stumbled back, eyes locked on the artist, who faced Trump with unyielding resolve, courage replacing fear. You don't scare me anymore, he yelled over the cacophony. But the blinding light, an explosion of color, erupted from the corner of the gallery, from the paintings. Flames flickered, wrapping around canvases like angry serpents. The truth was about to ignite, and everything shifted. En este momento de caos, líneas blurrieron. Frente se perdió. El artista fue mártir. Trump y marioneta. Elon corazón estaba creciendo, y mente se ruina. What was a lie? And then, in a split second, a deafening roar of silence burst forth, leaving only one question suspended in the air. Who would survive the truth, and at what cost? The tension hung heavy in the air as the guard rushed closer, his face pale. Murmurs swept through the crowd like wildfire. They were all drawn in, their attention fixated on the corner where Trump and the artist stood. Not now, Elon thought. He needed to hear more, to grasp this unsettling connection. But the guard pressed on, eyes darting like a deer in headlights. "There's a situation. We need to clear the gallery. Now!" The room erupted. People shoved, and the artist took a step back, scanning the chaos. That defiance in his gaze shifted to something sharper. Fear. Elon noticed a glimmero reconocimiento flicara grosso a la cara del artista, como si jamás descubriera una verdad tan parecida y tan destruida. Pero no, Elon volvió hacia atrás. Era uno de sus halladas, frántica pero firme. Pero antes de que se presentara, el artista llamó, su voz caída y roja. Los volantes cayeron. ¿Qué? Elon sintió una mezcla de confusión y temor. Un río de sosegas entornó a fantasmas. His disguise sudamente sentía como un peso pulándolo para abajo. El artista continuó, sus palabras cascando como un caos. "You don't know, do you? This isn't about the money or the fame. This is about a man holding the truth." Something deep inside Elon pressed uncomfortably. He wanted to flee, but something held him there, anchored by the intensity. Then, without warning, the artist reached into his ragged coat and pulled out a frayed photograph. Yellowing, faded. He thrust it toward Elon, urgency clawing at his features. "Look, your mother! She was part of this!" Elon's breath caught, a sharp pain jolting through him. The photograph revealed a younger version of a woman, vibrant with life, standing in front of an art piece, one that seemed eerily familiar. "What is this?" he stammered, heart pounding. The crowd leaned in, whispers thickening the air. The guard halted, his attention now caught on the photograph, eyes narrowing, as if searching for a long-lost connection. "I've seen this art before, in a gallery, a secret auction, a con. This was stolen." The artist's face twisted with emotion. "And it's not just art, Elon. It's blood. There's a story. Your mother, she tried to stop him." Elon's stomach tightened, a cocktail of shock and confusion churning within him. This revelation shook his foundation. Could it really be true? The words hung heavy in the air, taunting him. He felt the walls of the gallery closing in, suffocating him with this possible reality. All the power in his world started to feel meaningless when faced with this new truth. Around him, the crowd grew restless. Phones were being pulled out to capture the moment. The scandal unfolding. The guard's voice rang out again, shaky yet commanding. "Everyone, please step back." People jostled, faces flickering with uncertainty. The artist's fierce gaze met Elon's, and for a split second, it was like time stood still. Was the artist trying to save him? Or was he simply another pawn in Trump's game? Suddenly, a crash echoed through the gallery, glass shattering. A figure rushed across the floor, out of nowhere. A man in a black suit, face obscured. He lunged, reaching for the artist. "Get away from him!" Elon shouted, instinct kicking in. But chaos erupted. The crowd screamed, backing away as the man grappled with the artist, pulling him away. Elon felt something flicker inside him, an urgent calling to act. "Stop!" a voice roared. It was Trump, stepping forward, eyes ablaze. And in that moment, everything seemed to spiral. The artist's hidden past, Elon's family ties, a web of deceit and power entwined in a single gallery. As darkness spilled into the corners of that fancy room, Elon realized nothing was how it seemed. His grip on everything he knew was unraveling. The truth loomed, and the chaos barely began. Elon felt the room wobble around him, caught in the chaos, confusion swirling like thick smoke. The black-suited man lunging toward the artist added an icy chill to the air, a calculated danger. Something deeper was happening, and it was unraveling fast. "Step away from him!" Elon shouted, his heart pounding as the crowd gasped, a collective jolt of fear slicing through the gallery. Eyes were glued to the unfolding scene, everyone frozen, watching the threads of fate tighten. "Get down!" the guard barked again. But this time, he looked at the man in the suit, stunned. The artist struggled, but the man's grip was iron. "You have no idea what you're getting into," the man sneered, eyes flashing with an intensity that sent a shiver up Elon's spine. But just as shadows gathered, something unexpected happened. A loud crash like a cannon shook the building. Light blinked, flickered, and then suddenly, boom! The lights went out entirely, plunging them into darkness. Screams erupted, panic swallowed the crowd whole. People scrambling, bodies colliding. Elon stumbled, disoriented, heart racing in the pitch black. He could hardly breathe. Just then, a beam of light cut through the gloom. A flashlight swinging wildly, revealing shapes and terrified faces. He caught a glimpse of the artist, now silhouetted, defiant, even in the dark. "Help!" came a voice, urgent and desperate. Elon's pulse quickened. He felt a pull, a deep need to protect. "Where are you?" he shouted into the void. But the dark seemed to mock him, swallowing his words. "Here!" The artist's voice broke, torn between fear and resolve. He moved toward the sound, feeling his way through the chaos. He could sense the looming danger. The man in the suit lurked like a shadow, moving stealthily. And then a bright flash illuminated the room again. This time, capturing a moment that changed everything. Elon's breath caught en istroto. Standia al centro es Vanessa, una chica por penas tener, ojos bien con lágrimas. "Papi", gritó con el artista. Pero el artista se cayó a llevarse en un turboindex. La galería se gritó. Era increíble, imposible. Vanessa, desaparecida por tanto, estaba ahí, la encarnación viva de la pérdida. Esa presencia y nada, pero el hombre con una bota se puso delante. Base, y el artista se niegó. Villa, pero el hombre en el sute se ríe. Viéndola, sintiendo que si excitábamos, se quedó. Cuando el hombre se retira de la presa, pues piensa de que la pérdida externa por mucho tiempo se quedó. Te pregunto, por fin, el hombre en el sute se rió. Base, despierta. Entonces continuaré este ternero la sin pie. El maestro fue perseguido por sus tentazas y llenó a declaraciones, y entonces continuaré este tema tan interesante. Entonces continuaré. El artista They'll kill you for this. The weight of the revelation crashed down like a tidal wave. The artist wasn't just some victim his history had cast away. He was a father, fighting to reclaim his daughter, a fight twisted and corrupted by layers of deceit and ambition. "Stop!" Elon yelled, shockwaves rolling through him. "Who are you? What do you want with her?" The man froze, eyes darting wildly. "You really don't know?" He smirked, a flicker of triumph. "This isn't just about art. It's about family. It's about the legacy you think you own." Elon's mind spun, realization dawning like cold sweat. The truth was layered deep, wrapped up in lies and greed. Did the man mean him? Did he mean years of betrayal hidden behind that smiling facade? "Enough!" the artist shouted, desperation rising. "She's not your pawn!" But the revelation dropped like a stone. The whole narrative twisted around him, pulling at threads he never knew existed. Vanessa was a piece, a crucial part of a puzzle that could unravel them all. The crowd held its breath, uncertainty hanging thick. Elon's heart raced. What did this mean for him? What did this mean for the world they were in? Arts and politics wrapped in each other's arms in a deadly dance. In that heartbeat of realization, a new question thundered in his mind. How deep did this conspiracy stretch? Was he standing on shaky ground, completely unaware of the power games being played around him? "What will you do now?" Vanessa's voice trembled, full of urgency. And in that charged moment, the future shifted in ways he couldn't predict. One truth spun into another, all teetering on the brink of revelation. The shadows of danger grew thick, and Elon realized that everything he thought he knew could shatter in an instant. Here in this gallery, truths were larger than life. What would they yield next? And how far were they willing to fight for what was left? Elon felt the weight of the moment press down hard. The gallery's air thickened around him, constricting like a vice. Vanessa's terrified gaze seemed to flicker between hope and despair, an unexpected beacon in an oncoming storm. The artist's voice rang out, a powerful declaration. But just as the truth began to unravel, the black-suited man lunged forward again. "Fool! You think you can just walk away?" he hissed, while Vanessa backed away, eyes wide. And then it happened. A loud crash exploded in the room. A heavy chandelier, crystal and elegant, broke free from its moorings. It fell directly above Trump, glinting dangerously in the flickering light. Time seemed to slow. "Look out!" someone screamed, their voice piercing like an arrow. Elon's heart raced. He darted forward, instinct pushing him to save Trump, even after all that had passed. But as he reached out, everything went strange. The chandelier crashed down, shattering all around. Glass rained in bright shards, and the room erupted into screams. But then, chaos shifted. Amidst the falling debris, something caught Elon's eye. A small flash of light, not from the chandelier, but something behind it. All at once, the gallery's lights surged back to life, bright and unforgiving, illuminating a scene that would change everything. There, amidst the chaos, the black-suited man stumbled back, clutching his chest. The chaos faded to a hush, the crowd frozen in disbelief. In that very instant, the black-suited man's face twisted, a mask of anguish. A final breath released, as he fell to the floor. No one spoke. Then, almost demurely, Vanessa approached the man's crumpled form, eyes wide with realization. Everyone watched, breaths suspended. "Wait, he's part of it," she gasped, fingers trembling as she reached for the man's pocket. The room held its breath. What could she possibly find? Elon felt his pulse quicken. Was this man connected to everything? The audience seemed to vibrate with uncertainty, whispers tickling the edges of the chaos. Could he possibly be part of some web spinning out of control? Vanessa pulled out a small leather-bound notebook. Her eyes widened in recognition. This is his! It was supposed to be destroyed. She flipped through the pages, revealing names, places, plans. Blueprints mapped out with shaded corners and intricate details of structures, and ink splatters that suggested urgent corrections. A gasp erupted from the crowd. "What does it say?" someone called out. As she read, the darkness shifted into something terrifyingly real. "These are locations. Art heists planned across the world," Vanessa said, shaking. "And there's a name here. Our name." Elon leaned in, breath quickening. "What do you mean?" She swallowed hard. It links to my father, to everything that's happened. Their plan, it's bigger than just art. This is about control, power. But those names weren't just distant, faceless people. They were connected to his own life, infusions of fear weaving their way through art, money, and legacy. He felt sick as the pieces clicked together so forcefully. "There's something else," Vanessa whispered, her voice shaking. "A meeting set to happen tonight with someone high up. They wanted to use the chaos of the gallery as a distraction." Elon felt ice in his veins as realization struck. A distraction for what purpose? But before she could answer, the floor trembled underfoot. A low rumble buzzing through the gallery, growing loud. "What is happening?" someone screamed, fear seeping through the cracks. And then, a deafening explosion. The floor began to crack, fissures snaking like serpents. The gallery's elegant decor crumbled. The polished atmosphere shattered in a heartbeat. People pushed and shoved, trying to escape the impending doom. Elon felt a righteous fury ignite within him. This couldn't be it. All their struggles, their revelations, they had to make it count. But amidst the panic, one burning question blared in his mind. What level of horror had they truly uncovered? Would the truth they fought for lead to salvation or further darkness? His heart raced as he scanned the crowd, fear wrapping its fingers around them all. And just then, as the walls began to tremble, he caught Vanessa's gaze. It was fierce, resilient, but beneath it all flickered something ancient. A shared understanding that everything they thought they knew was just the beginning of a much larger game. As the ground shook, the truth hung heavy in the air. The real battle was only just beginning. As the gallery trembled, a wave of panic surged through the crowd. Elon could feel the ground shake beneath him, but his eyes were glued to Vanessa. She held that book like a forgotten treasure, the weight of its secrets heavier than the chaos that surrounded them. "Let's go!" he shouted, adrenaline coursing through his veins. The artist, Bobby, moved closer to Vanessa, his fierce determination unwavering. "We have to get out! Now!" Bobby's voice boomed through the storm of fear. "Follow me! We have to get to the back exit before they cut us off." The crowd swayed like reeds in the wind. people pushing and shouting, desperate to escape. The ringing in Elon's ears drowned out everyone. Focusing solely on that moment, on the fate of those intertwined in truth and betrayal, he grabbed Vanessa and Bobby's hands, and together they fought against the tide of panic threatening to sweep them away. The back doors were ahead, flickering emergency lights, casting eerie shadows. With every step, Elon felt urgency gnawing at him. We can't let it end like this. We have to expose the truth. We will, Vanessa promised, her voice fierce as they pressed on against the surge of bodies. Just as they reached the door, a loud crack echoed, glass shattering, chaos spiraling again. The man in the suit had risen, launched into a ferocious frenzy, desperate to pull them back. You think you can run? You have no idea who you're messing with. Elon's chest tightened. We're not afraid of you. He stood firm, but the fear radiating from the crowd was palpable. Then, in the midst of the clamor, the gallery shook violently, as if it could no longer bear the weight of hidden truths and fractured relationships. The walls seemed to cry for release. Now, Bobby urged, and together they burst through the back exit, spilling into the cold night. The air was sharp, invigorating, a storm brewing overhead, preparing to unleash. They didn't stop running until they reached the safety of the street. Behind them, the chaos metamorphosed into a cacophony, the sound of shards and screams mixing with the torrential rain. Breathless, the trio congregated in the shadows. Uncertainty still clung to them, heavy. What now? Vanessa asked, trembling, but alive with purpose. We share this, Elon said, holding the notebook tightly, his mind racing with the implications. We turn this chaos into a revolution. Bring this ship down. Everyone deserves to know. Together, Bobby agreed, determination igniting a flame in his eyes. We fight for truth and for those who can't anymore. As the rain fell, washing away remnants of deceit, they gathered in a circle of hope. This was their moment. The world was waiting to hear a story buried in pain, corruption, and a long-fought battle for justice. But within the depths of that hope, a question lingered. Had they truly escaped? Or was this just the beginning? As they stood there, plotting their next move, hidden eyes watched from the shadows, bearing witness to their struggle. In that fraught silence, the gallery chaos echoed, leaving them to wonder what would arise from these scattered connections. Who among them truly held power as they ventured into an uncertain future? And now, dear friends, this is the moment to show your support. You have to subscribe now! Don't miss a beat of these unfolding tales. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm. Flood the comments with your reactions and theories about this wild ending. What do you think will happen next? Lastly, share this video instantly with at least 5 friends who need to see this gripping conclusion. Don't wait even a second longer. Only true fans know the importance of supporting the channel through these actions.